12th Standard, Chapter number 10, Cold War, third part. Today we are going to study India's anti colonial policy. Point 4, India's anti colonial policy. India is acknowledged as a great democracy in the world. It had protested against imperialism in the world politics, even during pre-independence days. Soon after independence, India adopted the policy of active non-alignment in the international politics. It does not mean that India would distance itself from the international issues or affairs, but it would always strive to establish global peace. India would not tolerate foreign intervention in its internal matters. India shall respect the regional unity and sovereignty of other countries. India emphasizes or gives importance on the principle of live and let live, supported by peaceful coexistence. In the post-independent period, in 1949, a conference was held in Delhi in which support was declared to the issue of Indonesia's independence. It was demanded that the Dutch should leave Indonesia before 1950 and grant its independence. The position India took in the case of Africa is also very important. India took a very strong initiative in demanding the independence of the African countries, especially the protectorates of European nations. India insisted that the foreign rulers, colonialist European country, should leave the colonies at the earliest. India also insisted that the various institutions associated with United Nations should expand their work field and facilitate Africa to benefit by it. India spoke in the United Nations about the atrocious treatment meted out to the native African. India cared about Africa because of its long-standing relations with African countries. Thousands of Indians had migrated to Africa for trade and to work on the sugarcane plantation since long ago. In 1896, Indian workers had gone there to work on the Kenya Uganda railway project. Mahatma Gandhi showed Africa the path of satyagraha for getting independence. Thus, India had been one of the in the forefront in the struggle against colonialism. Point number 10.5, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, also known as SARC. Ziaur Rahman, President of Bangladesh, felt that there should be an organization which would work for the economic and social development in Asia needs to be established. Accordingly, the first among the four meetings of the foreign secretaries of Bangladesh, India, Bhutan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Nepal was convened 1981 at Colombo. In this meeting, it was decided to work together for planning of regional cooperation, rural development, health, demographic issues, trade, etc. In 1983, the foreign ministers of the above mentioned countries published the SAARC declaration in Delhi. In 1985, SAARC was established at the summit meeting held at Dhaka. Objectives of SAC. The following are the objectives of SAC as declared in the Dhaka Conference. First, to cooperate for the rapid all-round development of member nations. Second, to oppose terrorism and smuggling of narcotics. Third, to solve problematic issues and create mutual understanding for mutual trust among nations. Fourth, to cooperate with various organizations at regional, zonal, and international level working with similar objectives. Fifth, to work on international level for collective well-being. SAARC was officially established in Dhaka with this objective in view. Its Secretariat General was established at Kathmandu. It was decided that members should meet once annually. Annual subscription was made mandatory for raising the salary fund of General Secretary, 7 directors and the staff. The duration of SAC's principal secretary posting was to be for 3 years, and every nation was to get this post or their representative as principal secretary every year by rotation. The leaders of South Asian countries reaffirmed that commitment or their commitment to the UN Charter and the principle governing sovereign equality of states, peaceful settlement of dispute, non-interference in internal affairs, and non-use or threat of use of force against the territorial integrity, and reiterated, which means repeat, that the United Nations constituted the most important forum for the resolution of all issues affecting international peace and security. They also reaffirmed that deep conviction in the continuity, validity, and the relevance of the objective of the non-aligned movement as an important force in international relations. Challenges for SARC to tackle. SARC is London with many difficult issues to tackle, such as economic disparities among the member nations, expenditure allotment for defense, inadequate infrastructure, underdevelopment of agricultural sector, rising terrorism, population explosion, insufficient trade, divergent political system, religious lingual diversity, etc. were the problem faced by SARC. Success of SARC has done well in some of the field, such as a center for the dissemination of agro-related information was started in Bangladesh, and it has been also used as platform for research related to seed, animal husbandry and fisheries. A SARC center for meteorological research was established in Dhaka. In Kathmandu, an orthopedic center was established. Efforts are being made to promote tourism in SARC countries. SARC is also working for eliminating poverty in the countries in South Asia with the help of Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific. Now talking about the success of SARC, it also include an intergovernmental group was established to formulate an agreement that include South Asian Free Trade Area for promoting free trade and economic cooperation among the SARC nations. The SARC Documentation Center was established at Delhi for dissemination of information. SARC Human Resource Development Center was also established in Islamabad, Pakistan. Agreements were signed to counter the smuggling of narcotics drugs. Committees were appointed for development in the field of postal services and transportation. South Asian Preferential Trade Agreement and South Asian Free Trade Area with a view to enhance mutual trade among Asian countries were also signed in 1993 and in 2004. Last but not the least, Commonwealth, a voluntary international organization of the countries which were once part of the British Empire or under the rule of the British Empire and now are sovereign independent state, is known as British Commonwealth or simply Commonwealth of Nations. The idea behind establishing Commonwealth was to bring the governors and administrators together who had worked in the erstwhile colonies of the British Empire. The objective was to achieve coherence in the politics, in the political system and administrative machinery by exchange of the experience and ideas of these officers. In 1917, Canada, Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand were given autonomy as integral state of British Empire. In 1931, England declared a policy of granting autonomy to all its colonies one by one. The British Parliament passed a statute or means legislation known as Statute of Westminster. This legislation approved formation of Commonwealth. As the tradition would have it, the British Queen or King is installed at the head of this organization. The Secretariat of the Commonwealth was established at London. Voluntary cooperation is the fundamental principle of Commonwealth. After the Second World War, the British colonies in Asia and Africa became independent. The Commonwealth deserved credit for it to some extent. The opposition to the British rule in the colonies and the uttered international scenario made the disintegration of the British Empire inevitable. The establishment of Commonwealth proved instrumental in giving momentum to anti-colonial movement in the colonies. Besides this, the Commonwealth had to check the resentment, discontent with regard to granting freedom to the colonies that prevailed in some social strata in England India's decision to remain in the Commonwealth even after its independence added to the nullification of that resentment. Wealth and India. In 1948, in the Congress session at Jaipur in Rajasthan, Pandit Nehru took the decision of joining Commonwealth. India became a member of Commonwealth as an equal and sovereign state. The factors leading to this decision were in the situation that prevailed then. At that time, England was the major supplier of arms and other defense material to India. England had granted some facilities to India with regards to foreign exchange. India exported goods were partially free from the custom duty. More importantly, India had an open platform at Commonwealth to counter the mal propaganda by Pakistan against India. By considering all these things, India became a member of Commonwealth. Apart from this, India has always been on the forefront in Commonwealth Games. The sports competition molded after Olympic competition used to be held for the amateur sportsmen in the British colonies under the names British Empire Games. The idea of such game was introduced by Reverend Astley Cooper. Since 1950, these competition came to be called as Commonwealth Games. Commonwealth Games were started at Crystal Palace to mark the coronation ceremony of King George V. Commonwealth Games of 1986 were of special significance. 32 countries boycotted the Games. These countries demanded that South Africa should change their racist policies. However, United Kingdom did not pay any heed to this demand. Hence, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, India's Prime Minister, declared a boycott. Now, in the 21st century, India has recorded a laudable performance in the Commonwealth Games.